Evening all. How are we all on this fine Wednesday eve? Sorry for the usual delay in starting. I've had a busy old day today. I've been round my mum's house setting up her new laptop. And I promised I'd give a shout out as well. So, hi mum. And hi John, my stepdad. And I'll have a beer for you. Yeah, everyone say hi to Val and John. Yeah, I'm quite fond of Old Speckled Hen, to be honest. I do like a real ale every now and then. I hope so. Yeah, I've not had Hobgoblin in a while, to be honest. I'll have to try one. So, what have I been doing? Let's have a look. In fact, let's change the map to more test map, that one. So, one of the bug tickets we had. Oh, hang on. Lots of Unreal windows covering everything up. Yeah, so one of the problems we had was planets, generally, not including the starlight, and not including the star flare either. So as you can see, I have now fixed that. So you can see the light from the sun around here, and the actual flare itself are now properly occluded by the planet. And this is a 1-to-1 scale Earth-sized planet, so it's genuine solar system distances. So that's working. Not only that, but because I had to build the shadow system for this, it also now casts shadows on stuff. So we have planets casting shadows on planets, and then planets casting shadows on things that are also casting shadows on things. Which is nice, so that's all working. I haven't worked out how to cast shadows on the atmospheres yet, so that's one that will still have to be sorted. And the rings can't cast shadows on other rings either. But other than that, pretty much everything casts shadows on everything else. What I've actually had to do is I'm rendering another sphere inside the planet, which is hidden, but has hidden shadows enabled. So that's what's actually casting the shadow, not the visible planet you can see. But it works nicely. As you can probably see, it also now casts shadows on the planet. So the ring casts planet shadows. Again, it's a bit of a bodge. I cannot get the rings casting shadows directly with opacity, but if I use a masked material, it will cast a simple shadow. So what I'm doing is I'm rendering, again, a secondary mesh with the same rings material, but rather than set to translucent, it's set to masked. And I'm just capturing a certain opacity value for the shadow. And that's rendered slightly above the rings to stop it from glitching. So it's simple, but it does do the trick. Hopefully at some point we can have proper opaque shadows, but that'll do for now. And I also added some more detail to the ring material as well, and that sort of fades with distance. So if we move that away, you can see that the detail fades out. And I had to do that because otherwise you get this horrible temporal AA blurring going on. I've also employed a tiling reduction material function on this as well, so even though it's a heavily tiled material, hopefully you'll never actually see the tiling, so that's quite nice. So this was supposed to be a quick and simple fix for the shadow casting, but it ended up being a bit of a rabbit hole. We had various problems with the flare not rendering at a certain distance, and shadow casting stopping after a certain distance. And then we had issues with opacity values on things like Jupiter, because Jupiter has a ring, albeit very faint. But this really, really faint ring was casting a really thick shadow, which was unrealistic. So it's involved a lot of tweaking and refining, but I think we are pretty much there, and it's now good enough. So what are we doing tonight? That's a very good question. So I do want to clear off more bugs, and I think the first one I'll work on this evening is the fact that you can't look at black holes on the Holo display. So we need to render a second black hole on the Holo display. So we shall go ahead and get started with that. Where is my level? There it is. My test level starting to fill out with stuff like pianos and lifts. Right, so I guess first things first, we need a black hole. So let's very quickly find one. Pretty sure there aren't any in the vicinity of Sol. So let's check a sector over. Not seeing anything. Okay. Oh, there's a couple. Yeah, definitely sounds like a black hole. As far as I'm aware, it's only Sagittarius A star that's actually using the star. Because Sagittarius A is an actual region of space, as I understand it. It's been a while since I looked it up, but yeah, I think Sagittarius A is the region, and then Sagittarius A star is the actual black hole itself. Right, so you're on the short range black hole surface map, we get nada. on, I was going to make a note of this a minute on my handy dandy notepad. Close that lot. Too many tabs. So that's minus 26494 7162. Just so we don't lose it in the future. Yeah, there are black holes with limited to no accretion disks. In fact, they're my most favourite ones because they look really, really cool. If you make this one smaller a minute, like really, really small. Yeah, if I go through the seeds, oh yeah, there's a couple. So there's one that doesn't have much, if anything, in the way of an accretion disk. Now let's move it up here so we can see it. And then we have that one as well, which is very kind of limited on its accretion disk. Obviously from above, that's about how much material there is. But yeah, I prefer these ones. I think they look a lot nicer. You can get them crop up though, that have like barely any accretion disk at all. And you get giant ones like this with huge accretion disks. But what we want to do here, yeah, see, that's another nice one. Thank you, Delta. Very much appreciated. Cheers. Just put that bottle on my phone instead of a coaster. Right, so we want that to appear on the Holo display basically like this. And what is that doing? Of course, it's got a direction light on it, doesn't it? That's better. Oops. Yeah, so what we want when we go to the short range scan, why are we over here? That's kind of what we want to see. Obviously without the rumbling and everything else associated with it. I think what I might do is add a secondary actor, or maybe just flag this one as a Holo display version, because obviously we don't want the rumble, we don't want the light casting or anything like that. So maybe if we flag that as Holo display, which we do actually seem to have already. I've been here before, clearly. The radius on this one, 0.001. Yes, that's probably about the size we want. Let's make sure that they all fit, because some of them are quite huge. Oh yeah, they're not going to fit, are they? some of them truly are huge. Good question, Jason. What we want to do for the single-player campaign is we want to include Betelgeuse going supernova as one of the actual missions. So the ship will get sent there to observe and record signs of that event happening. So I think that would be a really nice thing to do, you know, as a set mission thing. And obviously after that point in the game, it will just be, yeah, planetary nebula. We do also want to have random supernovae in the game, and the way we're going to do that is that they'll basically be primed and ready to pop, and they'll just hold that condition until the player's ship is within range, and then they'll just let go and the supernova will happen. Or we'll add a time-based delay to that, but that'll be triggered by the player ship being near it, just so we can have those, you know, dynamic events popping off around the galaxy. Yes, me too, Snowball Putty. It's yeah, I don't quite know, if I'm honest, just how much science the galaxy has in Space Engine. You know, I'm fairly familiar with Elite's version, but when it comes to Space Engine, I've searched before as to, you know, is there like a clear list of what science they're actually doing for their galaxy sim, but I can't find it documented anywhere. You know, things like, you know, metallicity across the galactic plane and you know, galactic habitable zones and things like that. I don't know to what extent they do those things. So all I can say from our perspective is that if science exists to cover something surrounding galactic structure or galactic evolution, then we will include it and it will be part of the model. So, you know, if the science exists, it'll be in the game. Otherwise, we'll take it on a case-by-case basis. Yeah, I think as with black holes, supernova proximity is going to be the deciding factor. You know, if you're right up in its face, then it will probably destroy a ship. Right, let's see if we can't get these things spawning. Right, we're going to have to do some switching here, because obviously all of this data is relevant for planets and stars, but we're not actually catering for black holes at all. So probably worth just branching it from here. Okay, so we want to break that, collapse that, and then we need our object type. Probably easier if I just use this as a switch, to be honest. Get rid of all the stuff we don't need. Okay. So that, pretty much everything here all needs to connect into this. So you'll see some stellar classes here that obviously aren't in the game yet. So Wolf-Rayet, T-Tauri, neutron stars of all their various flavors, and white dwarfs are not yet in the game, but the data handling structure for them is actually here. Before we can add them, we need some relatively sound science on their distribution. So we have everything we need to add them. We just need to know how many and where, basically. It's a bit of a research project I need to undertake. You know what? That's madness. Right. That's a bit more sensible. Okay, so all we really need to do is to add, or maybe configure a child actor. So if we yeah, I was just thinking about whether or not we add galactic rotation to that, but I don't think we need to. So yeah. So if we add a child actor to this, so rather than spawning one every single time, we will add one here instead. Right, so we get our child actor, and then we want to cast to black hole volumetric. And then we need to fire across some parameters at that. Okay, nice and simple. We can use this blueprint interface for that. If fact, we don't even need to cast to it if we're doing that. Right, so hopefully it's doing the breakout itself for all the stuff that it needs. Definitely seems to be. Very true, Frestus. It is weird how well the microphone picks up birds when, like, I can barely hear them outside, and they seem to come through really strongly on the mic. They must have that, like, certain frequency that it likes. Okay, let's give this a whirl a minute. Let's get rid of that. So the Holo display is going to have a black hole on it at all times, hence the rumble. Okay, so immediately right, so if Holo display is true, actually if I do this over here, right, so if Holo display is false, do that. If it's true, we want to destroy this component. Nope, not that one. So basically, if we're using the Holo display, destroy the direction light because we don't need it. And we'll do the same thing for the audio, which we don't seem to have catered for. So I'll squeeze that in underneath. So again, if Holo display is true, then we want to destroy that component. Let's give that a try. So of course, we want to make sure that on the Holo display, we go to the default on the child actor and make sure we tick Holo display. Well, that did nothing. So that's when we actually need it, but by default, Yeah, by default we should be assuming that to be true. See, we're not setting it to anything other than that. There. I mean, I could default it to true there. Okay. So another interesting point here is, why don't we actually have one rendered? Are we doing a construction script thing here? Right, I've got a plan. So we're only going to be calling this from the Holo display, so it doesn't really matter what we do here. It shouldn't affect anything else other than it doing stuff on the Holo display. That's not needed. To be honest, we can destroy that too. But we can probably, for simplicity's sake, stick all them in there. So we don't need the light, the roar, the imposter. We do, however, need the post-process effect. And then on here we will get child actor. We will then cast to black hole volumetric. And then we will do Holo update. Okay, well, at least it's quiet now. check out that particular black hole. So that was at minus 26,494, 7162. Oh, that's nice, it remembered it. Feeling it should be there, or are we just so far away that it's not? No, we should definitely be able to see it by now. Oh no, it really is just that tiny. What a tiny little black hole. Check out here a minute in case it's underneath somewhere. That doesn't seem to be. Okay. Yeah, so it should definitely be up there above the ground. And as we hop back into the bridge, it should be the child actor. Yeah, it should be there. To be perfectly honest, it could probably do with coming down a bit, so maybe there, minus 50. So what's this actually doing? So we're creating our material instance. We are adding that to the post-process volume. That's not needed, that's irrelevant. So that works quite happily there, and it's quite happily accepting an input from there. Definitely needs to be smaller, doesn't it? Making sure we're catering for the largest ones. Don't think they get much bigger than this. So that's what we want, and that's where we want it. So the question is, when the holo display renders the short range map, yeah, we should definitely be configuring it. Oh, hey, Zach, good to see you. Yeah, holo display interaction is something that we're actually adding in the next patch cycle. So patch 226 is going to have holo display controls. So you'll have essentially opposite the command chairs there, you'll have like left and right rotation buttons, zoom in and out buttons, and various other bits and bobs. Because the primary interface with the crew for the captain is going to be via the holo display. So you'll reach out and touch the thing you want to target, and then look over at the guy sat in the chair and say, you know, either scan this or this guy and say navigate to here, that sort of thing. So we want lots of interactivity and lots of control over what the holo display is representing. Yeah, like a little like a hologrammatic control panel with little floaty, sort of semi-transparent controls that you can prod. Obviously, it needs to work in VR just as well as it does in first person. Holy hell. Okay, that kind of works. We definitely have a black hole on the bridge. It's just a little on the large side. Wow, yeah, okay, we're definitely inside a black hole. It's interesting that it rendered it when we got close to it. Hang on a minute, let's just try that again a sec. Yeah, it kind of needs to be a widget panel ideally, because we need obviously the widget interaction on the fingers of the VR hand, which are captured by the widget as much as the mouse clicks are. Yeah, so as soon as we go there, Oh, hang on. I think I'm literally inside it, aren't I? That would explain it. It's not the holo display that's showing that. That's literally the black hole itself. Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, so short range black hole surface map. Now it should be. I guess also it should be getting rid of this too. So is it not capturing the fact that we've selected that? Okay, so it's not changing the display either. Interesting. Yeah, if you're inside the black hole, the renderer engine goes all to hell. Which you might expect, because you're inside a black hole. I see what I've done. Right, so before we do any of that, we actually need to do this, get rid of that. Right, that just makes sure that we're on the right page, sensors wise. Right, so this is all the generate texture stuff. And that is that stuff. So I imagine what's happening here is probably hiding this entire group. So just to be awkward, so if it's not a black hole, then we want to hide that, and then show the planet. So that one visible, that one not visible. And then we need to do the exact opposite of that if it is a black hole. So that. Alright, then that one goes in there, that one goes in there. Right, that makes more sense now. Right, let's try that again. So let's just test it at Earth a minute, make sure that we do have an Earth map. Yes, we do. We have Earth, and there are no rogue black holes in the middle of it or anything. Right, okay. Okay, so let's leave that. we just need to make sure as well, once it is rendering on the Holo display, need to make sure it's actually the same black hole that we're looking at. So it needs to capture the same seed and all that stuff. Okay, so we're halfway there. We got a bit of a black hole. Right. Oh, I remember something about this. Last time I was messing with it. Just nudge that down a minute so we can see it. So when we go to the surface map, it breaks the black hole out the window because there is a thing you have to do, and I've forgotten what the thing is, but we shall figure it out. Right, so there's one black hole. And there's another black hole. I think it was something to do with the post-process. Oh yeah, this is just my test map, so this is literally the bare bones of what we need just to move. It's got none of the ship interior. For rapid iteration and quick loading. Yeah, so when we highlight one and move it, it does that. And there was a solution to this, because I remember fixing it before. What did I do to fix it? Would that be why perhaps we have a separate actor specifically for the Holo display? I guess so, because that one's allowing multiples. Right, so what do they do with that one then? So that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. We don't need that now. Yeah, so what it's doing here, and it's actually using the same scale for the event horizon, regardless of the black hole. So they should all fit. Let's just go dump ourselves in the middle of a black hole again. Now, what it was, AJ, is the black hole is a post-process effect. I need to change that so it's actually confined to a sphere bounds instead, like the nebulas are. But because it's a post-process effect, there are conflicts if you try and have two at once. But I believe that, yeah, see, I fixed that with this one. So we should have two versions of that now, albeit too big. Yeah, we'll see if we can do something with this as well. Obviously it's bringing up the last thing that was rendered. I think I'll just have it not bring up the surface map visibly. When you click that, it will just show the 3D version, but not on there. But then, I wonder if we can take a picture from above, maybe. That could be interesting. So let's move it further down and make it a bit smaller again. Where are we using that? Is it just there? That's just old stuff that we had when it was once a star. So yeah, so really that is always going to be true, and that's always going to be that, which means that is redundant. So we don't need that. That can be condensed. So we definitely do need to drive the seed value. Okay, that can go back in there. One we actually want to be setting. So that's our 0.0004. Oh, thank you, Simon, and good night. Have a good one. Very much appreciated. That should be everything we need, because we don't need any of that. All we actually need is the config itself. Yes, that should be all right. And if we move that down to maybe -75, kind of want it to be in the same position as that one. Although speaking of which, where is that? I think that's like -120 or something. -140. Not sure we want it quite that low. Let's make it -100. Sorry, Ian, I missed that. Yeah, you're right. Actually, that could be pretty good. I do want to have, so right now on here we've got obviously details and things that come up, which involves a lot of scrolling. What I'd rather do is, rather than have this here, I'd rather have a pop-up info card. So where we have the surface map pop up in a new window, it would be nice if all of this data was contained within its own little pop-up, segmented the same way, so you'll have boxes for all the data, but at least it will be all visible at once without having to scroll up and down. And it will also give us more room to put things like life data on there, and a lot more room for adding descriptions of alien races and that sort of thing. So I think we'll definitely progress to that once we update this. Seem to have lost our target. So it's -26, 494. I believe that was 71, and then 62. How far away from the black hole are we? Oh, good. A quiet distance away. Still too big, but I'd say that we're pretty much the perfect height off the ground. If we can just make that a bit smaller, I think jobs are good in there. Let's just rotate to face the black hole, wherever it may be. Over yonder. It's amazing how small a stellar mass black hole is. They really are quite tiny. So we're only about, I guess, the diameter of the Earth away. And yet that black hole contains the same amount of mass as our sun. That's kind of mad. I guess that's why they trap light, because they're literally that condensed. Right, so this one, if I can just get a higher vantage point, should look like this one, and they seem to be fairly well matched. I need to work on, rather than darkening the various aspects around the outside, to kind of feather the edges a bit so you don't get this solid border. You don't get it on every roll of the dice, but some of them you just end up with this like of obvious extent as to how far it can go. I need to kind of feather that out so it's not quite so obvious. I also need to do some like zoom detail on there as well, so it's a bit more going on when you get closer to it. But yeah, the colour seems the same, the shape looks the same. It's got that same sticky out bit. I'd say that was the same black hole. So just to put it to the test, if we go to a different black hole, and we have 3 to choose from, so that's nice. Okay, we're a bit close to this one. So we fly up and above. It's kind of a bluey one. There's an easier way of jumping up and down on it. Okay, so that one looks like that from above. It should match the one out the window. It's kind of got 4 major arms. Difficult to tell. We kind of need like a visually obvious one because the lighting changed depending on the angle as well. Although it does show it being very, very thin from the side, so let's get a side-on view and see. I'd say that was just as thin. Okay, well we did have one more black hole we can check, so we may as well do so. I'm guessing that was that one. It's not, oh, that's the one we were at. Right, let's teleport to that one a minute, and then we can go find the other one. This one was stuck. 5831. So we don't want that one. So that one's the one we haven't been to. again, I think they are matching. This one's kind of lumpy, and that one's also kind of lumpy, so I was hoping one of them would be one of the tiny ones so we can absolutely confirm, but I think that's pretty much what we want to see. True. Just another black hole. So we do want to make them just a smidge smaller. Why is that saying 0.001? Oh, I see, it's the default. Hopefully this one is still saved in our target. Yes it is. That makes life a bit easier. Oh, no, definitely need to move. That's better, now it fits. Okay, so I think we're good for size and scale. I think that's a decent height, maybe a bit lower. Predominantly Geralt, yes. We've got a few C++ bits going on where performance is required, but you can get an incredible amount done just with blueprints. The only time you really truly need C++ is if it's something which is kind of real time, it's ticking, it's doing some math. Then you're better off with C++. But you know, for event-driven things and just various gameplay systems, blueprints are absolutely fine. Right. For now, because time is a factor, and I don't normally do this, but I'm actually going to bodge it. So I'm just going to have it not bring up the actual map window if it's a black hole. So we need the sensors widget. Nope, that's the material, that's the widget. No, we don't want long range, don't want medium range. Yeah, believe it or not, the black holes do have the full same spectrum as stars. So what I've done is I've taken the class of the star that formed the black hole and kind of used that to define their color. So there'll be, you know, anything from high 20-odd thousand Kelvin all the way down to about 3000 Kelvin. Obviously something like M class kind of temperature wouldn't collapse into a black hole anyway, but colour-wise, that's the range we've got. Right, so full refresh. Blah, 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 blah. Where's that button sending its thing? So we're going back to there, to there. Open map, that one. Right, so that's open map on there. Just open map on there. Right, okay, so this just needs a simple boolean. So if we get our sensors data, and then we break that, and then we want our selected system object, so we want that one at the bottom. Break that, get rid of all the fluff that we don't need. Right, and then if it's a black hole, oh, I know what we'll do actually. We're gonna do a select with this rather than a branch. Then we can just do this for simplicity's sake. So if it's a black hole, we want it to be hidden. If it's not a black hole, we want it to be visible. Obviously that only applies when opening the map, and if we're closing it, we're hiding it anyway, so that's not relevant. So that simple bodge should solve that problem. So let's just go test our black holes again. I apologise for everyone's speakers, especially if you're on headphones, because black holes are quite loud. Kind of need the sound to die down once you're outside of the accretion disk, because the idea that the rumble that you're hearing is because you're in a big gaseous accretion disk, so there is medium there for sound to propagate through. But once you're outside of that, it should drop off to zero. Right, so click the map. Great, so the map comes up, nothing comes up on the screen. There is our black hole. Awesome source. So I would say jobbed. I don't know if anyone has noticed, by the way, but something I did is I've changed the display of bodies on the holo display. So if we go and have a look at what will be a very dark black object in space. Let me just zoom in on here a minute. Let's whiz our way over. So if I zoom in on that object, you'll see that it's now a mesh ball rather than just a blob. Because one of the problems we were having is people were expecting these balls to be textured, and we can't really texture them because we're generating quite high VRAM usage textures for these planets, and if we had textures generated for literally every planet in the system to draw the map, it would just overflow the VRAM. We could probably do like a low map version maybe for the holo display, but I think the grid lines actually look quite cool, and it's nice on the short range as well. What's that? Oh, it's a gas giant. Wow, it's like, is it a gas giant or is that broken? I know it is a gas giant. Shaders. There is an issue there though, actually, because when we go to the short range, it shouldn't be showing that. It should look like that until you actually click on something. Yeah, like that. So if we zoom in, or out as it may be, there it is. What I like about this is it shows you kind of in real terms like how far above the sphere of the planet you are. So obviously we're around a black hole, so there's no light really to speak of, so it is just a black sphere in space, but at least on here you can see there is something there, and it is that big. Yeah, I see what you're saying there about the art direction. I think what we'll do is where the holo display is being used as a data rendering tool, we'll wireframe it and simplify it as much as we can. Where we're doing more detailed work, like if we're looking at like literally the surface map, that's when it needs to be more detailed. So that's when we'll give it a full color display. But when we're looking at details, we'll wireframe it. And we'll do a similar thing for enemy vessels as well. So if you're scanning like an enemy space station or any space station or an enemy ship, we'll give a semi-wireframe version of that ship with like energy signatures like visible within that wireframe, so that you can see what it's detecting like internally when we get to that point, of course. I don't know how I bugged it before. Did I do? Oh, it was that. Oh, okay. Right, so I've just found a bug. If you bring up the surface map and then click away to anything else, it retains the visible sphere. Interesting. And you can just fix it by doing that. Something else to look into. I'll add it to my long list of things to look into. But it does mean we can close something on Mantis, which is always nice. Yeah, and we want something similar out the window as well, first. So we want to be able to see a data overlay on top of things, through the bridge windows. So that in situations like this, where you're around a black hole, there are planets there, except you can't see them because there's no light coming from the black hole. You want to be able to see a wireframe of that object so that you don't crash into it. And similarly, with like rogue planets and things. So a rogue planet, again, is just going to be a black sphere in space. So we need data overlays to make them practical in some way. Okay, so black hole surface map fixed. Just add that to our notes a minute. One more bug fixed. So what we've done with our bug tracker, hang on, I've lost the feed. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, so what we've done with this is things which I've assigned to myself. These are things which ideally we need to fix for the demo update. The things which are just confirmed are things which can wait until after the demo update. So if we order by assigned, so these are the ones which need fixing, and once all of those are fixed, then we are pretty much good to go. Okay, so I'm not going to do the multiplayer ones on stream because it's really awkward to make some changes, do a rebuild, push it, package it, and all that sort of thing. So we'll try and look at some non-multiplayer ones. So this is an interesting one. Let's see. So we just need to make sure that we are yeah, so we are loading the save game, so we should be good to develop some scan data. See you, Philip. Thanks for watching. And thank you, Antonio. Very much appreciated. Sometimes on the test map it generates without any stars or anything. There we go. Right, so we need to just do some surveys.
Long-range survey.
Yeah, true that, Firstus. It's just a case of adding a couple more waypoints. To be honest, one at the bottom of the stairwell and then one at the top of the stairwell should probably be enough.
Survey complete. Initiating long-range survey.
So this bug is partly to do with how list view items work, in that they are instances of the widget. So as you scroll up and down through the list, it's replacing that instance with the new data, and it seems to be causing some issues. But we need data for all of these systems first.
Long-range survey complete. Initiating long-range survey. Long-range survey complete. Initiating long-range survey.
Yeah, the galaxy should be the same for every player.
Long-range survey complete.
Literally right down to a single rock on a planetary surface.
Initiating long-range survey. Long-range survey complete.
Almost there. Got to fill up the whole page. Oops.
Initiating long-range survey.
Yeah, the seed system is driven by the coordinates of the object. So the galactic coordinates of the star system is also the seed. So therefore, it can't not be the same for everybody.
Long-range survey complete.
I am one dev, and no, we don't have any dedicated artists, but we will do very shortly. Once the demo update is out, we'll be doing another recruitment round. Get a few more bums on seats to make this go a bit quicker.
Initiating long-range survey.
Oh, thank you, Thumper. You might be interested to know that if you go to the Betas tab on the demo, there is currently a pre-release demo update on there, which is basically the build I'm working on now, which you can play right now.
Initiating long-range survey. Long-range survey complete.
So it's interesting that both of these are highlighted because they do have different coordinates, and whether or not it's highlighted is driven by whether those coordinates match the currently selected target. So if we select Sirius, scroll up and down, really wants to target that one. And I'm guessing, yeah, as soon as Sirius comes on screen, it gets rid of the target. So what about Alpha Centauri? Yeah, that same system wants to be targeted. And then I'm guessing, yeah, as soon as Alpha Centauri comes on, it resets itself. Right, so that's now gone to 0%. Even though we have actually, yeah, we have actually explored it, because when we clicked on it, it refreshed. So, can we make that? Right, let's scan that one as well.
Initiating long-range survey.
Okay, Festus, thank you. I think it's an off-screen problem. Again, because it's a virtual list, it's not a real list, and we have to do it.
Survey complete.
We have to do it that way because there's over 1,000 widgets in this list otherwise. In the current public demo, it's capped to 100 objects. So even though it might say there's 2,000 locations, the list is capped at 100 because it just wasn't performant. And obviously the more widgets you create, the more you're tanking performance. With a list view, each one of these entries is a virtual object. So you can have an infinite number of them. It only ever renders what you can actually see at the time. So as soon as they scroll off screen, they're literally gone. And then they're reused, which is why we're having situations like this, where it's getting a bit confused because the same list view object is being used for multiple stars, which is why some of them come up as an O class occasionally, which is a recent bug that cropped up. Yeah, so ROS 154 should be explored. Now if I click anything on here, it will refresh the whole list and fix itself. So I think what I need to do is just make sure that on scroll we're also refreshing the list. We're doing like a cold refresh of the visible list items. Are we capturing an on scroll though? That's the question. Wow, Celestia. Yeah, it's been a long time since I looked at that as well. I guess Celestia sort of predates Space Engine, doesn't it? And let's view long range, that one. So we've got two things here. So is that... Okay, so that's... this might actually do us because if we can fire force a refresh basically when it scrolls into view, that might actually just be enough to fix it. So when we do a refresh visible, let's just see what we're doing. That's this one. So so we take all of this and we just pop that down there for a minute. So I guess that's not relevant for a minute. We don't want to loop through all of them. Just want to go to that one there. Okay. With any luck, this is actually going to fix it. So let's give that a whirl. And hopefully it's remembered the things I scanned as well. No, it's done that thing. Come on, give me a galaxy. Because my test map loads so quickly, it sometimes gets ahead of itself with the galaxy gen and then gives up. Okay, so we've got lots of stuff. So if we select that one. Okay, yep, and then we select Sirius. And then that one, which we were struggling with. You know what? I reckon that's fixed it. Even if we scroll all the way down here and all the way back up again, that one's still selected. Yeah, so fixed. Thank you, Frestus. And thank you, Epic, for providing me with that node. It's very useful. Where'd the bug tracker go? There it is. So, bug fixed. I'll add it to my notes. Oops. Forgot to set it to resolved. Lost all my windows. There it is. Found it again. let's do this one, shall we? Because again, that's another quick fix that we can just knock off the list. Right, so we can't be in our test map for this one. We need to be on the actual ship proper. Running out of beer. Yay, we have more of a ship now. Ooh, while I'm here, I need to add console command. So this is just an update for the shadows. It's generating a bunch of stuff. So up till now we've had hardware ray tracing disabled in the settings, just basically disabling anything we're not using right now. But Megalights needs it, so I recently turned it on, so it's having to regenerate a bunch of stuff accordingly. We will be using Megalights reasonably soon. I haven't got time to set it all up properly for this particular patch cycle, but once this is done and we're working on VR, I'll have a look at getting Megalights enabled, because if nothing else, it's going to help performance for VR. Okay, so we need cold and dark. Oh, YouTube crashed. No, there isn't ray tracing used anywhere, but it's in the settings ready to be used. Like, we go into our post-process. Things like the GI and stuff. So, like the shadow casting and reflections, we can use ray tracing for that. Why is it not listed? Oh no, I'm sure ray tracing used to be listed on there. Ray tracing's kind of being deprecated because Lumin is kind of like now the go-to standard rather than ray tracing, although it uses like things like ray trace shadows and reflections as part of Lumin. Pretty sure we were using software for all of it, because I found that if I turned on ray tracing, despite having what was a 2080 Ti at the time, I actually lost performance by turning it on, so I've just left it off. But yeah, so it's all enabled in the background, it's not just actually used right now. Just realised that's really dark. think when I updated the whole writing there, it's also affected this one too. To make sure I change that. There should be a like is outer hull thing on there. I see. Okay, it's clearly not that one. Which one was it? Let's make sure that those are rendering properly. Yeah. Sure it was the bridge logo one, but I guess it can't be. Too many content browsers. It's going to be that one, isn't it? Don't think I can copy reference on that. Floor writing. No. Oh, I see. That's the engineering floor writing. Definitely not that one. Tell you what, I'll just make one. That'd be easier, wouldn't it? Rather than trying to find the original. So that bridge one. Weird. So I don't think that was actually used for anything. No, it wasn't. Okay. Delete that in a minute. Yeah, probably makes a bit more sense. And then that needs to be around about 0.25. Right, that's more like it. Okay, I'm going to just tweak that ever so slightly. Just so it matches the logo. It's a bit better. That's about 0.15. Yeah, it's a bit closer to it. Right. So, tutorial. Yes, Delta, at some point. The issue we have is that we want things like logos to be customizable, but we also need to work out how we can stop that being abused too easily. Because if it's the case that you can just put any image there, then you know what the internet's like. There's going to be all sorts of images on the bridge floor. So we'll have to think about the system carefully and how we manage that. Yeah, making it work in multiplayer is the key. So there'd have to be some kind of content sharing process. Yeah, it might be a simpler thing that we have maybe a selection to choose from. So if we have a catalogue of different logos, then you can just select, from an array, and then because they're in the client already, then yeah, they'll be available for every person who joins in multiplayer. So we want to bring that target down, and if we pop it over here, that should at least get the pathing to the bottom step. Doesn't really matter about the arrow direction because we don't use the arrow anymore. But pop that there. Yeah, that should guide people to here. And then if we we then duplicate that, okay, and then we'll pop this one up here. Guess we need to give it a title, really, don't we? So if we just call that one B deck, and then the previous one, we'll call it main stairwell. And then in order to test this, if we connect up that, set that to tutorial, set that to cold and dark. I need to remember to undo this before I do a build, otherwise it'll be cold and dark regardless of what you're doing. And then we'll set the initial step to like 35. No, 36. Right, so when we start, we should be starting immediately before that step. Yeah, I mean, everything will be customizable to some degree at some point. It's just a case of, you know, what and when. We'll just gradually expand what can be customized over time.
Follow the waypoints on your HUD up to the bridge, and we'll make your ship flight ready.
Right, so it's finding that. Okay. I believe it's from around about here that it starts to send you, which is nice because it's now sending you to here.
Follow the waypoints on your HUD up to the bridge, and we'll make your ship flight ready.
Actually, did that not generate that? Oh yeah, where is it trying to send me? Is it doing that thing again? Oh, it is. You'd think, being stood here, like, the closest path to the top of this stairwell is literally straight up. Okay, we're fine from here, so I'll, yeah, I put one there. That will hopefully fix it. Yes, AJ, that was the plan, to allow specific hex values. Just realised that I messed that up. That should say main stairwell F deck. And then the next one should be main stairwell. What will actually be E deck, and then we'll move that down. Or why don't we put it halfway? That's probably a bit better, isn't it? So that one's D deck. Move that one along a bit. Duplicate this one. And then this one would be main stairwell B deck. Do and then we'll duplicate that again, and that'll be 1, and then this one will be bridge on A deck. Right, then we want to clear the audio on these ones. Obviously it's going to repeat itself otherwise. So F deck, D deck, A deck. Hang on, did I overwrite something? So D deck is there, and then next one is B deck, which is there. The next one then needs moving up there. Something else I need to do is I actually need to move the ship starting position so that the light is shining in at the right angle, because one of the most epic things is when you step onto the bridge, like all the lights are off, but the sun's just streaming in through the windows, which looks really, really cool. But we've kind of lost that at the moment because the ship's facing the wrong way when you start. So that needs tweaking. Might do that in a minute. Right, let's give that a try. Docking's going to be problematic because of the way we handle moving space around the ship. So the ship interior is static, it doesn't move anywhere. So the space environment and everything in it moves around the central ship. But if you have something like a space station, that will also be a static environment. So from the space station's perspective, your ship is just a proxy.
And we'll make the ship flight ready.
And then from your ship's perspective, the space station is a proxy. So getting those two proxy objects to kind of connect and allow transport between them is probably a bit of an ask. So we'll probably do it with shuttles. So we'll have shuttles be the method in which you get from place to place, which will involve everything basically having a shuttle bay. Okay, so main stairwell, F deck. It really doesn't like... I wonder if there's like a nav mesh problem there. Okay, stairwell D deck. Stairwell B deck. And then off to the bridge. Yeah, so that all works. Right, so are we having a nav mesh problem? Well, that's not going to help, is it? Honestly, these nav meshes are the bane of my existence. Alright, so in order to generate them again, we just need to make sure we've got the right levels on. So we don't need outer hull. We do need that one, that one. We don't need the snap guides or power. Oops, let's press spacebar. So for each deck we need sheet, walls and interior. Sheet, walls, interior. Sheet, walls, interior. Get rid of power. Sheet, walls, interior. Sheet, walls, interior. Sheet, walls, interior. Yeah. Right. Let's see if we can't fix that problem. But why though? Okay, it's not that. Is it being blocked by something? Like, oops. Calm down, camera. Okay, so we've got the same issue on both sides. And normally it would build like a nav joinery thing, but obviously not here. So I'm not seeing any weird like collisions or anything. Okay. Claire, I don't suppose you've been editing F-Deck Interior, have you, at any point? Alrighty. So as far as I remember, you can just like pop in these navlink proxy whatsits, and they'll join the nav mesh up. We are clearing off more bugs today, or at least making an effort to. Right, so did that help? That's the question. Oh, yeah, we got a nav joiner error. Definitely there, not so much definitely there. Why is it connecting to that one? think I just need to find the sweet spot with this. Yeah, like that. There we go. Just check this one's still here. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good, good. Right, let's try that again. Have a good one, Hurricane. Thank you for watching. Always good to see you. Well, here's a controversial point.
And we'll make the ship flight ready.
Hush, Ava. Yes, here's a controversial point. Feel free to argue amongst yourselves. I'm not planning to put weapons on shuttles because they're shuttles. There we go. That fixed the problem. Great. Yeah, sure thing, Erix. Okay, another bug fixed. Do we have? That's an easy one to fix, but time consuming, so I'll leave that for now. Lamps on B deck. What's this? Oh, right. So on B deck, there are a couple of places, namely here, where we don't have an actual ceiling panel. If I turn on the ceilings, no, that's F deck. We don't want F deck. Yeah, so we don't actually have ceiling panels to go across here. That's easy to fix, assuming I still have the source mesh. So yeah, really what I need to do is make probably 3 panels to fit in there. Yeah, they won't quite line up with the floor, but maybe I can line them up with what the door is lined up with. Okay, so it's lined up on one side. Yeah, I'll figure out the alignment. But yeah, so we'll have a panel here, panel in the middle, and a panel on that side. Those two can be mirrored quite happily. And then these just need some kind of light fixture, just like a downlighter. I was thinking of like with aquariums, you get little hanging aquarium lights. They're basically like a black LED strip hanging from the ceiling. I'm thinking something akin to that for the plants. And the same around here as well. So rather than embedding a light, like these ones are kind of embedded into the panel, I thought it might be nice for these ones to actually have them just hanging down. Adds a bit more visual interest. I could even put them on a pivot maybe, so that they can swing. Could be interesting. Like when the ship's under attack, the lights start swinging. Definitely doable. Let's just see what else we have. I kind of want to avoid opening up SketchUp if I can get away with it. Might have a go at that one actually. So the wall maps require basically building a floor plan in SketchUp and then rendering it out. So there's a bit of time involved with that. That one just requires taking some pretty pictures. Oh yeah, see, that one's annoying. Maybe do that one. And that one. That one I might not be able to fix. I might need to fundamentally change how the electrical system handles its updates, or have a regular poll maybe once a minute so it refreshes the electrical system. Because to fix it, all you have to do is turn the breaker off and on again, and it fixes the UI. So it's obviously just not updating. But yeah, that would solve that. Right, okay, let's see if we can figure out what's going on with this. Because it does look a bit weird when you start a new game. And for that, we'll go back to our bridge test map. Yeah, definitely AJ. Hey Larry, good to see you. Right. Oh, I see. So it's all stretched weirdly. One of the things that I need to do with this is when you start a new game, you know, if you've got no sensor target, then we shouldn't be rendering anything at all. And the same with nav target. So like if you clear the nav target on here, then that should disappear rather than defaulting to SAT-J, obviously, which is where that is. So like if we clear the target, technically it's cleared because it's all zeros, but all zeros happens to be somewhere, which is SAT-J, which is why it says SAT-J. So that's an interesting one. We need a way of flagging that there is no target currently without targeting nothing, because that does then target SAT-J. I'll have a think on how we do that. Yeah, there isn't really a null value we can use. It's probably easier if I use a boolean. So we'll just have a boolean value for like has target, yes or no, and then drive it from that. Right, okay, so that's clearly broken. Let's just see how broken it is. Okay, so it's putting the marker in the right place, but it's not drawing the line correctly. Don't think we're even bothering with the science target, are we? Or are we? Oops. Oh yes, we are. Okay, so that's inverted as well. Although that one's a bit of a misnomer because technically we don't have a target once we go to the galactic position mode. So unless we target the sector, that would make more sense, wouldn't it? Okay. Bit of trivia for you. That cube is 1 sector large. If we actually focus on that and reduce our draw range, you can see that it actually does scale. I think it might cap at some point. Does it cap? Can't remember now. Actually, no, I don't think it is capping. Yeah, so that is genuinely 100 light years, that cube. So it's just interesting to see that, you know, that is how big 1 sector is compared to the size of the whole galaxy. Which is kind of crazy because it really underlines how big the galaxy is. If that little cube is 100 light years, then the galaxy is huge. Now that's interesting. So the target alignment is correct, but in the middle. And if we do that, that also kind of fixes it. Okay. All right, let's have a look. Ooh, I just remembered I must remember to turn off cold and dark on the main map. Must not forget, must not. I'm going to write that on my notes actually. Okay. So scales, fine, that's fine, that's fine. Ship indicator is fine. The target indicator is fine. Right, where are we drawing the line? Yeah, because we need to make sure that these are in the middle of the line as well. So I don't think we're actually doing any of this on the GPS mode, which means it's probably defaulting the location of the line and everything from the previous mode, which would be why it doesn't actually make any sense. So yeah, so there's the target indicators, and then we're supposed to then draw the dotted line afterwards. Wrong one. Just making sure that it's not like a child of one of the other modes, otherwise that'll mess up the coordinates. Right, so we grab our sensors data, get our coordinates. So what are we looking at? So we know where the ship is, we know what the local coordinates are. So we are looking at why are we grabbing that? Sorry, lots and lots and lots of chat updates that I'm missing. Yeah, it'll be volumetric and ASCII at some point. Yeah, see, the problem we have with the Holo display is, or for the Galaxy at least, if we put it in the middle, then it's kind of right on people's eye line and it looks stupid. But of course, it does have the problem where if you fly down, you fly down through the floor. I guess scaling the height based on where the ship is might be the best way around it. Or maybe scaling it to the ship location. So the ship is always in the middle and the Galaxy moves up and down. That might be a better way of doing it. Good night, CSI. Have a good one. Oh, chat updates, of course. This seems a lot more concise and less long-winded, so let's steal that bit of code instead. Not quite sure why that's so long-winded. Shall have to do an optimization pass on that at some point and work out why it's so heavy-handed. Right, so we must be calculating the relative location of the ship. Where are we doing that? Are we calling it something different? Right, okay, so we're so this one's basically, it's using sector coordinates and not the location of the ship per se. Which means when we draw this line, could just get this. Okay, it should be simple enough. Same there as well. That's hilariously wrong. Right, so the start point's right. It's heading in the right direction. I think we're the right distance away. Just not the right angle. And how does that get affected by moving that? Oh, interesting. Right, I think I see what's happening. So let's get rid of some of this unnecessary tabbage a minute. Right. Stop doing that. So of course the relative location of the ship would be 0, 0, 0 in this instance. But it's going to actually be, and this is going to depend on the mode we're looking at as well. So we need to move the ship backwards by however far it is from Sag A. If we're on the ship position mode. So we need the ship galaxy coordinates. I'm sure the GPS range is going to come into this as well at some point. Don't need that bit. Because we've got the relative location of the target, which has already been positioned here. So that's fine. Actually, when we... Right, if we capture this as a local variable, because this is our relative ship location that we actually need. What do you mean it's already used? And then if we use that instead, and hopefully that will update regardless of what mode we're using, because we're already working that math out up here, so we should be able to save ourselves a job. That looks suspiciously accurate. If I move target, yeah, we're still targeting Sag A. Okay, if we move it over there and also up by the same amount. Okay, yep, that's correct. Yep, so we're halfway across and halfway up. I think that's fixed it, you know. And then the obviously the sensor target is over there. I wonder why it's not drawing the line. Let's select something. Although saying that, I'm going to remove that because there's no kind of sequence of events where we're actually making a sensor target. Right, so that should avoid that. That should stay hidden to begin with. Yeah, it's better. So we got our nav target there. Obviously our sensor targets are relevant because we don't actually set that until we have one. And that will be all of this. And that is pointing the right way, which is yonder. Okay. updating just like what it oughta. So if I set our manual coordinates to the opposite side. So we're targeting over there, and then the ship is there. And we're not displaying the ship because we're using a manual target. Although, the ship kind of should be there, shouldn't it? Because we're kind of mirroring the output on here, where we are like swapping between the two. I guess we need to do that though, because otherwise, if you're targeting a sector, like one sector ahead, you won't be able to see it because it will be underneath this little ship model. So I guess on that note, that probably makes more sense to not have the ship there. But that is continuing to align where we need it, so that's good. Let's just zero that out just to be sure. That should go to the middle, which it does. It shows the right distance. If we do that, everything still aligns straight to the middle. Great, okay. I was expecting that to take longer to fix, to be honest. Let's just clean up this because it's not needed. Need to make sure that these update at some point as well on some kind of a looping timer. Just so we update the target distance probably around about 10 times a second is probably sufficient. Right, so I do believe that's another bug we can close. Let's stick that in my notes first. Okay, what's left? Right, so again, that needs some modeling, that needs quite a lot of an overhaul, that just needs a lot of typing. Maybe look at that one and that one. That needs a screenshot taking, that needs some maps making, that needs the whole galaxy deleting and starting again, and that's just a replication issue. Although I do need to change how the scan is initiated on the sensors so that it properly replicates. these two top ones are annoying and kind of not easy to fix because of replication. Right, so why are backer systems showing on the list? So A, F, so I guess we're looking for systems that are out of place, like stellar classes that are wrong. It's probably good to go with an M class one actually, because the other ones will stand out on the map quite bright. I guess you could say there's 5 of us at the moment. Not all of us are working full time. So there's me doing the development and the design work. Claire does practically everything else. We've got Jose, who does the music. We've got Scotty, who's doing QA for us. And, Jose does the sound effects. Eric does the music. But we'll be expanding the team shortly. Yeah, I'm just searching the backer systems a minute. I have a spreadsheet, which makes life easier. So the closest one is 153 light years from Sol. So let's cheat our way over. So that would be minus 26,532. Next, 8. And minus 10. Oh, there's definitely a system here. There should probably be a star there. I bet I have broken something. Oh, no, I did. Hang on. No, I need to add that to my notes a minute. I hid the star mesh because I was trying to work out why the sun flare wasn't visible. So yeah, that's not broken, it's like that on purpose. So if we show all, I do believe Abigail's star is the backer system. It is Hamavet's system. So that's the backer system there. So if we change the filter, yes, it's definitely a K class. Well, that doesn't look broke to me. It's not coming up when it shouldn't do, so hang on, let's have a look at the bug a minute. So backer systems are showing in the filter box regardless of choice. No, they're not, as far as I can see. Let's just try a different one a minute. So minus 25, 273, 187, and minus 74. This is Xiphius' system, which is called War. So I don't know, whatever that says, Warroa, I suppose. It's an A class, B class star, so that should not show up unless we have B class selected. Okay. I just realised the music stopped. Why did the music stop? I thought it had gone quiet. I wonder if it's got something to do with this. There's some definite weirdness with this. So this is with the manually selected sector. I mean, those are all correctly G-class stars, including Sol. Why is it showing them? What's the betting that these are inhabited systems? See, that one is. I bet that one is too.
Initiating long-range survey.
Thank you, Erix. You're very welcome.
Long-range survey complete.
Right, yeah, so this one's got text signatures as well. So I think what's happening here is the filter is not necessarily showing backer systems, it's showing systems that have life. So like when we've got, say, like black holes selected, it's showing all the planets, all the star systems rather, that have life within that sector. So that sector has 13 star systems of life. 13 out of the 3,000-4,000 that there would be. Right. There's a clue there somewhere. But why are they not doing it on the normal listing mode? That's interesting. We were talking about that earlier, Fishbone. So we're going to have it go supernova as part of the single player campaign. So one of the missions that the ship will be tasked with will be to investigate that supernova, which I think would be quite a cool mission to go and do. Which one are we on? Short range? No, we don't want that. Let's get rid of some tabs. Yeah, definitely. We need to do it justice though, so we'll make sure that it's fully volumetric and very impressive. Right, so blah de blah de blah de blah. Okay, right, so the problem must be on the widget itself. I don't see why not. It would be probably probably very deadly, I would have thought. I don't think much in range would survive unless it's a long way away. Right, so here's where we drive the two different lists depending on where we're getting the data from. So this one is our single sector. I see what we're doing. If we remove that pin, no, if we don't do that, if we remove that pin. So what we're doing, so that the logic here is what was messed up. So we were showing the listing if it had, like specifically if it had civ data, which was part of a debug I was doing a long time ago, which I removed from this version But I didn't remove it from this version, so that should have completely fixed the problem. Let's just confirm. Right, so where are we right now? So we're there, so switch focus to there. And nothing showing at all. Let's just go. Oh yeah, we've already got that one targeted, so let's go there. So a bunch of stars there. That one's not there when it shouldn't be. So if we now go back to there, yeah, that did fix it. So that was just a simple listing error on my part. Great, another job done. One of the other things that we need to do at some point is, and this is what the tutorial dialogue alludes to, is we're targeting an actual sector of space rather than the location within that sector. So we're scanning ahead to that just general area. So like the holo display here, it's targeting that location within the sector, which is not necessarily in the middle of it, which is why the map is offset. So if we were to edit that, put 0, there we go, now we're in the middle of the sector. It's interesting, is it generating that each time? Oh, that needs looking at. So when we adjust our range, it shouldn't be like regenerating any data. I guess that's just because there's so much of it. I think what I'll do long term with this is, rather than redrawing the map at a new scale each time, instead I will scale the whole actor whilst keeping the actual star balls the same size, so they will smoothly zoom in and out without like flickering like that. Okay, but that did fix the problem, so that's another bug fixed. Rapidly running out of bugs here. So yeah, we'll have to do that one. That one rather. Now, I can't remember how to trigger this bug. I think, if memory serves, it does it while you're doing a survey. So let's give it a try. So if we just go ahead and warp in a straight line. Cheerio, Earth. Right, so if we're in like the detail mode like that, so it should not update off of this mode. And does not appear to be, I think. Yep, so that's fairly solid. Is it when we're running a scan?
Initiating long-range survey. Long-range survey complete.
Nope, wasn't that. Rather typically, I can't make it break now. I've definitely seen it happen. So what happens is you will get the temperature regions like that showing up on this map here with all the stars. But how we force that to happen, I don't know. It's hilarious how close the habitable zone is on a T-class star. I mean, that's got to be near the Roche limit, surely. Look at the bug. Well, that would appear to be flawless, so I don't quite know what's happening there. What if we target one? Let's go to a closer one a minute. Because something I wanted to check is actually showing the ship arrive. Okay, so that's something I need to fix actually. So if there's nothing in the system, it's still rendering all the stuff in the middle, and it's setting the sensor range to 0, which is less than ideal. Right, so when we arrive in this system, the Holo display should update and draw everything automatically. Okay, well, let's set the range and everything. Okay, that worked. It didn't update the listing, but it definitely updated this on its own. So I'm guessing if I just do that, it will update. Yeah, okay. So that needs an auto refresh. But other than that, that was rather flawless. It's a rather nice looking planet. Let's go and see whether this one has rings a minute, because I haven't tested one in the wild yet, so it'd be interesting to see whether it actually renders the rings properly. Just plow through this planet a minute. It is very orange. It doesn't have rings. Okay, let's try the others. Ooh, that one has rings. Are they not dense enough to cast a shadow? That's the question. Oh no, they are casting a shadow. Or are they? Is that a shadow? Or is that just more ring? Okay, no, perhaps they're not casting a shadow. I need one which is not kind of perfectly aligned with the star. So I imagine that's like a 1 pixel long shadow otherwise. Yeah. Cue Voyager intro. I'm really looking forward to being able to drive a volumetric effect with this same detail pass. I also want to see if I can get some shadow casting in there from objects in the ring too. And the other thing I want to do is fill the gaps in rings with moons, so that we've actually got, you know, something causing the gap rather than just being arbitrary gaps, which could be very cool. Okay, so that isn't rotated away from the star in the slightest. Fortunately, there's a few gas giants here, so we can check out a couple. No rings on this one. Oh, and those are not gas giants. Alright then. Boo to the lack of rings. So the bug we were actually fixing was the one I raised. And doesn't appear to be a bug. I might have just been like unlucky just one time when it happened. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it to resolved, and hopefully we can have someone confirm that it's actually happening. Assuming my web host responds. There we go. Unable to reproduce. Thank you, Claire. Oh, yeah. That should be a quick fix. So I'm assuming what's happening here is we're firing this. I wonder why we're doing a full refresh. Okay. Okay, so I think the easiest fix here is basically don't do any of this if it's hidden. Not sure why it says screen hidden. That's the voltage thingy. Right, so I'm guessing we're talking about Holo mode then. Yeah, so if it's off, it shouldn't do anything. So that's interesting then, because it shouldn't be doing this if this Holo mode is off. So what's forcing it to do something? Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll remove that from there and stick it here instead. Yeah, so all the sensors data need to do is just update the sensors data on here, but not if it's off. Unless that's coming from somewhere else. That's just the labels. Let's get rid of the spammage. Right, so that will force it to update. Okay, so that's bypassing it. That's also bypassing it. Oh, thank you, Festus. We appreciate you too. you do plenty for us as well. Okay, so hopefully that's fixed it, because it literally cannot proceed if the sensors are off. So let's just give that a try. Right, Barnard Star, you're getting scanned.
Initiating long-range survey.
Oh, it would help if I could see the button. Right, so I've turned the sensors off, the holo display off rather. So when that completes, it should not turn it back on again. I agree, it does.
Long-range survey complete.
Ah, there we go. Okay, and then when we do holo mode, so there should be an on-rep holo mode here somewhere. Yeah, and it's forcing a refresh when you turn it back on, so that's good. Right, let's move that. So the alert panel needs to be down there. And that one needs to be there. That's better. Okay, so the question I have is if we scan that one there. Oh yeah, that's the broken one, isn't it? We scan that one there. So right now we've got nothing, there's no knowledge levels on there at all.
Initiating long-range survey.
So if I turn that off, we'll just see whether or not it has all the names and things when we turn it back on again.
Long-range survey complete.
Right, so we have object names, we have knowledge, so this should reflect that. Yes, it does. Huzzah. Okay. So we can call this one fixed. So unless there's something quick on the list here that I can quickly fix, I think we'll call it a night. Okay, let's just try this one a minute. I think that's the one we actually fixed earlier. It might be a duplicate bug. So if we configure the level for a new game, so new game, so we shouldn't have any of our save data. Yeah, I think that was a duplicate of the other bug. Yeah, and all our data's cleared now as well, so I think that's no longer a problem. I'll just add this to the list. Right, there we go. Lots of resolved bugs. So just to go through them very quickly in terms of what needs doing or not for the demo update. Like that just needs the table moving to its own actor. It's a bit annoying and time consuming, so it's low priority for the demo update. Connecting the VIP lift to the electrical system. Maybe if I get time, again, there's a few, it might cause bugs by doing that, but we'll see. That one we can't fix right now until we change how black holes work. That's random, and I don't ever catch it happening, so it's difficult to fix. That's more complicated than it appears at face value, so that needs more work. I need to basically create individual kerning for every single letter in order for this to be fixed. Again, time consuming. Haven't seen that happen in a while, so might need to close that one. Yeah, that's basically a full UI update. I can probably replicate some of this, but it's going to change how the fluid system works, and I don't want to do that before the demo update because it will probably break something. This one is the same as this one. They're basically the same bug. That's just that you can see into the player's shirt when you look down. That is tricky because it's like a UI limitation. That's a bug. It's probably a logic issue. That's just the audio files set wrong, so that's probably quick to fix. I've not seen this one happen at all, so again, that might be a not able to confirm bug. I'll have to have a look at that one. That one is probably fairly simple to fix. I just need to change the order of events and change how we're doing the replication when we click scan. It's not a quick fix. It's going to be one of those spend a day scratching my head ones. This one I have tried twice now to fix, and the problem with fixing it is I have to kind of rip apart the Galaxy Gen, which kind of breaks the game. So I need to take a long, hard look at this one. We might have to end up putting the demo update out with this still broken. But we'll see. We'll see whether or not I can pull it out of the bag. That needs maps making. That's just screenshots. That's a data issue. Again, that's the electrical system not updating swiftly enough. And that's a bit of modelling. So really, that's it. We're practically at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the bugs, which is nice to see. Right then, so I shall wish everyone adieu. Thank you ever so much again for joining the stream. It's always a pleasure to have you all on board. And yeah, thank you, Festus. No, I've got it in my notes. You can tell it's late. I've forgotten how to speak. Yeah, you're right, Festus. I do. It's like my closing thoughts. I'm glad the piano is working properly now, AJ. It's funny because I got Claire to update the piano. I kind of told her what to do, and after she'd done it, oops, thanks camera, like all the keys on the piano were like hanging off the end, like over here. The offset, the numerical offset from the MIDI ID was also used for the positioning of each key. So of course, offsetting it by 2 octaves moved the entire key set over there, and broke lots of other things as well. And then I realized that all we actually need to do is intercept the MIDI signal and just change it by 2 octaves. Literally just like -24 to the value. That was it. That's all we had to do. But yeah, I'm glad it's fixed now. So middle E should be genuinely middle E. Middle C even. But yeah, so there we go. I shall keep cracking on with it. I'll get a build out tonight. And yes, I have written in my notes that I need to undo that cold and dark debug. But yes, so expect to build in about an hour or so. And as on cue, as she keeps doing, my cat has arrived right as I'm saying goodbye. It's almost like she knows. Like she knows the stream's about to end, and she's like, ah, this is the time when you come and feed me and stuff, isn't it? So yes, say hi to Pip. Right, see you all on Sunday, everyone. Bye for now. Oop, bye, Pip.